Hey, welcome to another episode of Rocket Revenue Podcast. My name's Troy Barter. The purpose of this podcast is to really open source what we're doing at Rocket Shipping in order to build the most successful, scalable, repeatable sales team and really net new revenue team possible. So if you're looking to get better at sales, if you're looking to build a revenue team, you came to the right place. That's exactly what we do. What I wanted to talk about today is how to build up your social media presence as a salesperson and why that can be helpful for you. I've been doing this for quite a while now. I mean, in reality, I started, just didn't do it really that well a little over a decade ago. When I first got into tech sales in 2013, I started to at least take the appearance of my LinkedIn profile a little bit more seriously. I wouldn't make a lot of posts, but I would make sure that, if I hit President's Club, I made sure that I updated it. At the time, I viewed LinkedIn like it was my digital resume, and I wanted to make sure that anything that I did was on there. And I wasn't even really looking to leave where I was at. I loved where I was working. I was making way better money than I had ever made before, but I thought that it would be a good idea to document everything that I was doing. I saw that other people were doing it, thought it'd be a good idea for me to do it as well. And then the longer that I kind of went, the more that I thought maybe I should start to actually post some stuff, and here and there I would drop some text posts on things that I was doing or things that I learned in sales. I had been a manager for a while. I'd done a lot of sales trainings. I was like, man, there's probably a lot of stuff that I could post about on here. And then when I was at Panadoc, this is, 6-7 years later, I started to do a couple of videos on things that I did, or like trainings on cold calling, or, I think the first one that I did that really did well was about how to start cold calling if you had never cold called before. And it, compared to the text post that I was making, really blew up on LinkedIn. I got, like hundreds of comments and direct messages from people saying, man, like this is really like, it inspired me to pick the phone up and start dialing. And that got me hyped up. And I was like, man, I might be onto something here. And I kept posting, and it's been incredibly helpful in my sales career. In fact, if I never built up my social media presence, I would never have made it to Rocket Shipping. Gabe, who's my co-host, who can't make it today, CEO of Rocket Shipping, reached out to me. I didn't even know there was an availability at Rocket Shipping or an opening that might make sense for me to work there. But he was a fan of, the content that I was putting out on social media. And that's how he found me. So it's a great way, number one, why should you look to build up your social media? I wouldn't even say following, we'll just say connections, your social media connections, particularly on LinkedIn is really what we're talking about. I do TikTok as well, but particularly on LinkedIn. Number one is, you need a network. So really there's three reasons why you would want to build up your social media presence as a salesperson on LinkedIn. The first one is no one can take that social media account from you. Your employer can't take that from you if you ever needed to leave there. And trust me on this, your employer will take everything else. Anything that you added to the game while you were at a company will be forgotten and will be taken from you once you're gone. I'll give you an example of this. When I worked at Fleetmatics, it's a GPS tracking software company, started there in 2013. I started as an SDR, moved up to an account executive role, and I really crushed it as an AE. And the way that I did that was I learned their current process and worked to master that before I ever thought about maybe changing things. And it took me a while to do that. And I really, busted my ass to be able to learn all of those things and be able to get really good at it. And then once I got really good at it, I started to pick it apart. But I didn't do it until I got really good at it. And then I started to pick apart the process. Like, all right, we have a slide deck that we do before we do the demo. It's like 10 slides long. Why do we have this many slides? Which slides are creating the most amount of impact and resonating the most with the prospect and helping me progress my sales process? And which ones kind of aren't, or they're redundant because I'm really going to cover the same stuff once I get into the demo. And I started to trim all of that down. And then when I got into the demo, all right, why am I demoing this report instead of this one? Should I be doing this shorter? Should I be leveraging convenience and the fact that this is going to be easy to use, or should I show everything? And then at the end, why am I saying the things that I'm saying before I go over pricing? What's my goal here? And I really picked the whole thing apart, and then I created a playbook. like a repeatable playbook of here's all the things that I'm doing that led to me having a way higher closing percentage, a double-digit higher closing percentage than the second place person in the company. And I put my name at the bottom of it. It was a playbook. It went over literally everything, and instructed you like where to click, where to go to the next report. Here's when you should show that report. Here's when you shouldn't show that report. And then at the bottom, it had my name, created by Troy Barter, whatever the year was, 2015, 2014, whatever. And then Verizon bought the company. And towards the time that I was, maybe 6 months before I left, they were hiring a new batch of account executives. So they were promoting a lot of sales development representatives internally. And a lot of them had a playbook to run. And sure enough, it was my playbook. And I was like, oh man, let me take a look at it. It looks like this is my exact playbook. They removed my name from it. It was the only thing that they edited on the playbook, by the way. Every single other thing was exactly what I made. This was my playbook that I created. And why did I put my name there? Because, it's nice that, yeah, I want to leave something for others. I want to help others, but also I want to be recognized for what I'm doing. That's important to me. That's how I'm wired. And I looked and I was like, wow, you just completely erased my name from what I contributed to this multi-billion-dollar company. And I realized, like, that's kind of how it goes. No matter how much you train, no matter how much you help, you may get recognition from the people that you helped, but that company will take everything from you. Almost all of them always will take everything from you. They'll take the credit, and, sure enough, if you were to go check now, I've been gone from there for half a decade. No one remembers a single thing that I did, even though they're still doing my playbook. And I was like, man, I really would rather spend my time repeating myself and going over what's worked for me in a place where I'm going to continue to be able to keep that and build on it. And on my LinkedIn, as I build a following and as I, make posts, make playbooks, provide advice, that stuff is always going to be there. And Verizon isn't going to come in and take my social media account and say, oh, by the way, this is actually just ours. We came up with all of this. And I know that might be a kind of childish way of looking at things where it's like, oh, they're copying me. Oh, they're not giving me credit. It's not fair. It's how I'm wired. And I think, and anyone who's worked with me knows that I really go overboard when someone comes up with something, or when they try to add something to the game and they're helping others, to give them a lot of credit for that. I'm never the type to take credit for something that I didn't do. I'm the opposite. I want to make sure that the people that I work with and the people that work on my teams get the exact amount of credit that they deserve. If they come up with something, then I promote their situation, is the way that I always have said it. And I just think that it sucks when that doesn't happen. And I notice when it comes to social media that, you build that up, the company isn't going to be able to take it from you. So if you do all of your work and you build up all of your networking and build yourself up in terms of your presence and what you can contribute internally at a company, then when you leave that company, that's kind of gone. You can't really leverage it too much. A little bit on your resume, that's about it. But if you're posting about the things that you're doing while you're doing them so you can help others out, you're really planting your flag in the ground of like, I made this. I came up with this. Here's something that I learned. And you're sharing it with others. And also, if you're not the type that really cares about getting the credit, I am. Maybe you're not. You're also helping others. You're helping more people than you would be able to just internally at your job. So that's the first thing when it comes to building up your social media. Companies that you work for will try to take everything that they can from you, and they can't take that. So it's something that you're always going to be able to get a return from. You're not going to have to rebuild it over time. It just continuously builds no matter where you're at. And to me, that was something that was really attractive, and it's helped me in my career, absolutely. Next thing is for networking purposes. So we're 2024 right now. It is not 1960. The job that you're at as a salesperson is more than likely not going to be the job that you finish out your career at. You're probably going to work at a bunch of different places. So that networking and networking with people that are within your industry, salespeople, sales leaders, getting on their radar, having them like you and trust you and think, man, I'd like to work with that person someday, will help you in your career down the road. Once again, that is how I landed where I'm at now at Rocket Shipping. where I started as an AE, moved to head of sales, and now I'm head of revenue, and I did all of that in less than a year, really less than 6 months. Why would I be able to do that? You hire an account executive, they're not usually going to be able to move that quickly into a head of revenue role. Well, when you have a boatload of content that makes it abundantly clear that you know what you're talking about, not just as an AE or as a prospecting AE or SDR, not just as a low-level manager, but you really know how to build out a repeatable, scalable, successful revenue organization, then you put yourself in a position where you're more likely to be able to get promoted because you're not just holding a resume that's a piece of paper. You have thousands upon thousands of people that follow you. You look at any post that you make and they comment on it and they say how much it's helped. And that absolutely helped me. There's no way that I would have moved from an account executive to head of revenue within about 6 months if it wasn't for all of the legwork that I did building up my social media presence over the past, really, let's say 3 or 4 years, where I've really, put in a lot of effort. And then finally, warm introductions. You build up your presence enough, maybe there's somebody that you want to prospect into or somebody that you'd love to get to know and you don't know them. And it's hard to get to know them, maybe. Maybe there's somebody that, it doesn't just accept any LinkedIn connection that's out there, but maybe you're connected with someone that's connected to them. Well, that increases the chance that you might be able to hit up that person that you're connected to that's connected to them and ask them for a warm introduction. Like, hey, we have something that might be helpful to them. Would you, and there's a chance that they might provide you with a warm introduction. It happens every single day on LinkedIn. So those are the big things that, in my opinion, will help you. And it's funny, like what I'm really talking about now isn't really building up your presence within the industry that you're selling to. It's really about building up your presence within your industry with other salespeople, other sales leaders, and building that up. And that absolutely will help you. Also, there's a fourth thing, as a matter of fact, which is you're going to be able to learn more as you're connected to these people that are really successful. I mean, I have connections with people that, have built billion-dollar companies or companies that are doing hundreds of millions of dollars a year in ARR that I never would have been able to just, reach out to and have a conversation with, where now I talk to them once a week, and I'm able to learn way more than I would have been able to learn just by going on to YouTube. Because on YouTube, you're sure you're going to get great information, right? But it's information that's just coming to you. It's not going to be that easy for you to just ask questions and say, oh, well, what about this? That back and forth, that conversation, that real connection with somebody absolutely helps you learn, helps you get better, and helps you level up. Birds of a feather flock together. If you're networking with people that are more successful than you, that increases the chance that you're going to become more successful yourself. And that is, it's wide open on LinkedIn for anyone to be able to do. And you can do it fairly quickly. In reality, you can catch somebody's eye pretty quick. And I'll show you how to do that next. So here's how to build up your social media presence. All right. So step one, research. All right. So you look at a few different things. One easy way of being able to do it is just look at hashtags that are related to the role that you're currently in. And you can also research hashtags that are related to the industry that you're trying to sell into. So if you're a sales development representative, type in sales development representative. On like hashtag sales development representative, no spaces. Hashtag SDR, no spaces. Are you in tech sales? Hashtag tech sales. Are you cold calling? Hashtag cold calling. All of these different things, and then go look and see like, all right, what are the top performing posts that are under that hashtag? Oh, cool. That's someone that I would like to get to know. Oh, that's helpful. All right, cool. And then look at how they're posting. All right. What's their layout? What drew people into that post? Check the comments. It's easy, free market research to be able to see what's successful and what's not as successful. Then comment on those things. You can set a goal you want to leave at least 5 to 10 comments a day. And you don't want to leave 5 to 10 comments on one person's different posts, different people's posts. You want to leave those comments on different people's posts. Sorry. We'll need to edit that out. Yeah. Didn't put it on vibrate, and I get hit up quite a bit by my wife who's in the other room. So why are you doing this? Sorry, clip it until here. My bad. So why are you doing this? Why are you leaving 5 to 10 comments a day? Well, you want to get on the radar of those people that are making those posts. And also, if they kind of attach your face, your name to somebody that's contributing to their post, which does help them. It helps with engagement. It helps with the algorithm. It helps with a bunch of things. Forgive me. Hold on one second. Forgive me. Sorry, this is my life. Um, God. And sorry, you're gonna have to clip that too. Um, and once you're on their radar, you're able to easily shoot them a connect request. There's a chance that they might actually shoot you one ahead of time, and then you're linked with that person, and that person probably has a decent following and gets decent engagement. And then when you start to make posts, there's a good chance that they'll like it. They might comment on it. I've even had people that connect with me, and now that I have like a decent following on LinkedIn, right around over 21,000 followers, they'll DM me and say, "Hey, I made a post. I was curious, what you would think about it. If you find it interesting, it would be nice if you could like it and leave a comment." And I often will do that. I appreciate the fact that they're being proactive and they're reaching out. I don't do it every time if it's something that I doesn't resonate with me, but if it does, I will. And then, the way that LinkedIn works is that if someone that's like a heavy hitter, like a Scott Leese who has over 100,000 followers, or Kevin Dorsey or Morgan Ingram, if these people comment on your post, then it hits a lot of their followers, because you'll see if you just look through your feed on LinkedIn, it'll be like, if you're following, let's say Morgan Ingram, right? Morgan Ingram commented on this post, and then underneath it shows the post. Now, you might not be following me, but you're following Morgan, and because Morgan commented on it, that post shows up on your feed, and then it increases the likelihood that you're going to engagement from other people, right? So that's the first thing. So you research those hashtags, research what's working, what's not working, right? Leave comments. And how do you leave a comment? You don't want to just leave a comment of like, great post. You don't want to just do some like milquetoast boilerplate, like almost feels like AI or a bot is making it. Like, tell them why you like it, or maybe just a quick 1 or 2 sentence like story in terms of like how that relates to what you're doing, or maybe a way that you've applied the advice that they're giving in the past, or how you plan on applying it in the future. Something that really actually contributes to the conversation, not just like 2 words that say that you like it. That's what the like button is for. That's not what the comments are for. The comments and what people are looking for when they're looking for people to comment is they're looking for conversations to happen within the post, which drives more engagement. That's the whole goal. So that's how you leave a comment on something, and it doesn't take long. Just quickly think about, all right, what comment could I leave here? I like this post, right? How does this relate to what I'm doing now? What's my big takeaway from this? What do I like the most out of it? That's what you want to comment. And that increases the chance that people are going to engage with your comment, which also helps you. So, because again, a lot of people are on that post. So not only is the person who made the post going to see your comment, but generally a lot of the people that saw that post will also see your comment. So if you leave a thoughtful, strong comment, then there's a chance that they might want to follow you as well, or they might want to connect with you as well. Now, when it comes to posting, it's your next step, right? Post what you know. Right, so if you're a brand new sales development representative, you've never done sales before, chances are you're thinking, I have nothing to contribute in terms of posting on LinkedIn about sales. I'm not an expert. Well, I have good news. Most of the people that are on LinkedIn that are salespeople are not experts. In fact, there's pretty much nobody that's an expert. I wouldn't consider myself an expert. I've been in sales for nearly 20 years. But most of those salespeople are probably a lot closer to your position than mine. So the post that you make as a new SDR that's struggling and learning as you go and seeing things that work for you will resonate with them more. And it's probably going to be more usable information than someone that maybe has been in sales for 20 years, but maybe They haven't cold called religiously day in and day out as their only job for a decade, which is generally the case with a lot of the people that are like towards the top and have the most followers. You actually can resonate with people more right off the bat, just posting about things that you're learning as you go. But that's why people don't post a lot when they're brand new in sales, or why they're hesitant to post. They're like, well, I don't have anything to contribute. You absolutely do. Even if you completely failed at something and learned a lesson from it, that's a good post. Hey, I was setting meetings and I wasn't even hitting them up after, and I just assumed that they're going to show up, and no one showed up. I booked 4 meetings last week and no one showed up to the meeting. So here's what I did to help get more people to show up, and it worked. The next week I booked 5 meetings and 2 people showed up. And is that great numbers? No, but it beats 0. So if someone looks at that, they're like, oh, well, maybe I'll try that, you know? Or maybe they already did try that and they know that it works, but they still like the fact that you're talking about it, so they like and they comment on it, and it helps drive more engagement, and it helps build up your presence. And as you go, you will learn more things, particularly if you continue to do that 5 to 10 comments, because now you have to look at these posts that are going to help you. There's a lot of people on LinkedIn that have really great information. It's going to be helpful to you. So as you learn more and as you apply more and you learn that it works for you and you learn the way that it works for you, that's more opportunities for you to post content. And the more content, and the goal of this isn't to be this huge influencer or anything like that. The goal is to build up your presence and to be able to network and to be able to get to know these people that have those really strong presences online or have a very strong presence online. So again, if you ever need anything from them, or if anyone's hiring and you need to find a role, you're going to put yourself in a better position to be able to land a role quickly and to be able to move up faster. So that's what I say. I say post what you know. As you go, you'll know more and you'll learn more. And the only other thing that I would say is to make sure that your advice is as honest as possible. Now, this is my playbook. A lot of people don't use this playbook. One thing that I hate about LinkedIn is the way that people leverage the Pareto principle. So a lot of even like the very high top influencers will leverage this. And I think a lot of them don't realize that they're doing it, but some of them do. But you will generally see which of your posts get the most engagement and get the most interactions and get the most views. And then you will post something similar because you want to get more engagement and you want to get more views. And what I mean by the Pareto principle is, what the Pareto principle means is 20% gets you 80%. So if you read a book, 20% of the stuff that you read is going to give you 80% of the results if you end up applying it. Or you'll actually digest, the 20% of the book, is 80% of what you actually digest and actually learn and actually turn into a habit potentially down the road. But with sales, it's 20% of your people are going to give you 80% of your results. And I've been in sales for a really long time, and it is almost exact everywhere that I'm at. People try to change it. It's essentially a law that this is just how it works. There usually is 20% of the people, and they're delivering 80% of the results. So apply that to LinkedIn. All right. If 20% of people produce 80% of the results, that means that 80% of the people are producing 20% of the results. So if all of those people are on LinkedIn, 100% of them, let's say, right? If you're only making posts that are going to apply to the people that are getting all of the results, then you're only going to be really appealing to 20% of your potential audience. But if you make posts that are, posts that are babying people, make them feel better, that don't actually go over really frank, honest advice and things that they might be doing wrong, but it's really things that are more designed to make people feel better than to make them get better, you'll actually get more engagement. You'll get more people that are interested in that post because people want to feel better, and most people aren't doing that well, so you're going to appeal to more people. I don't like that. I've never liked that. I feel like it's disingenuous. I feel like it's lying, and I feel like it's setting people up for failure. When you say, hey, it's okay. You shouldn't be worried about whether or not you're hitting target. Well, you're in sales, so you absolutely should be worried about whether or not you're hitting target, because if you don't hit target, you're going to make less money, and eventually you're probably going to get fired. That's not fun to say. That's probably not what a lot of people want to hear, but it's what they need to hear because it's reality. That's the game that we got into, and it is a game. I view sales like it's a professional sport. I've been saying this for well over a decade at this point. So if sales is like a professional sport, because it's a performance-based industry, that's a fact. This is a performance-based career. If you're in sales, that's what you chose to get into. Well, knowing that, just imagine if, a football coach in the NFL, a head coach, said, hey, really our players, they're really worried about competing against themselves. We're not worried about competing against all of these other teams. If we beat them, great. If we don't, that's okay too, as long as we got a little bit better today. They'd be fired the next day because that's absolutely ridiculous, and it is a competition. And the people that are in the NFL are in the NFL because they want to compete at a high level and they want to make as much money as they possibly can. If you got into sales and you want to make as much as you can, then you're more than likely, and it's not even more than likely, I'm actually BSing you saying that, you are definitely going to need to be able to compete at a high level. And if you need to compete at a high level, getting your hand held and getting a hug is a lot less valuable to you than getting real applicable advice and honest advice about what you do well and what you don't do well and what you need to work on. And I've found with salespeople that can take that type of advice, and I deliver it in a way that's not like angry or, it's not designed to make them feel bad. If anything, it should make you feel better. But I do find that the people that can take that kind of advice and apply it are the ones that are successful. And the ones that are looking for the posts that say you're more than your number, are generally the ones that don't do as well as the ones that say, nah, actually part of me is my number from 9 to 5 or for whatever hours you're working. The number that I hit is a large part of what I do here, So yeah, the number is a reflection of me. It's a reflection of my effort. It's a reflection of everything that I'm doing. It's true. That's real life. But a lot of people don't want to live in real life, particularly if you're failing. And again, Pareto principle, more people are failing than succeeding, which means what? They want content that makes them feel better about the fact that they're failing instead of finding the content that says, you've got to do a lot of hard work to get better at what you're doing or you're going to continue to fail. So if you want a cheat code, you could do it the other way, but I wouldn't recommend it. I think that a lot more people need to be a lot more honest with salespeople. And I think, again, a lot of these top influencers, and it's not all of them. There's some really, really good ones. I named some of the names of some of the really good ones that I really like, trust, take their information from. I think that it would really help just the sales profession in general. And I think people that don't do that are doing a disservice to it. That's just, it's my opinion, but it's borderline a fact as far as I'm concerned. So you're making posts about what you know, and you're making sure that it's really actionable advice that will help people. All right. From there, you're going to see, and this is really the cheat code to building up your LinkedIn presence, is that you see who liked that post and you see who commented on that post and you connect with them. You reach out to them and you send them a connection request. Now, LinkedIn, I think, has changed this where if you don't have LinkedIn Premium, you can only send out so many connection requests with a note, which kind of sucks. But if you have LinkedIn Premium, you don't have to worry about that. But either way, anytime that you can send a note, this is how you should do it. When you send out the connect request to that person that liked your post or commented on your post, they engaged with the post that you made. Say, hey, I was reaching out to connect with you because I saw that you liked the post that I made about, and then just a quick half a sentence about what the post was about so they remember what it was that they liked. I try to make a lot of posts like this. I'm assuming that if you liked that one, you might like some other ones. And also, I like to learn from other people as well. And if you like that post, maybe you have something to share too, and I'd like to connect with you. Just something simple like that. And this is exactly what I did, and here's why I did it. It's like a snowball effect, all right? The reason why I want to connect with them more than just some random person is that I already know that they engage with my content. So it increases the likelihood, if they engage with my content, that they're going to do it again. And anytime that they do it, like I was saying earlier, that LinkedIn algorithm, it will show on the feed of the people that are already connected with that person that they engaged with something, and then they see your post too. And then if that person sees your post, it opens up the amount of people that see your post. It also opens up more people that might engage with your post. And then on the next post, somebody that happened to be connected to the person that engaged with you on the previous post that you connected with, now engaged with the new post that you made. And then you do it again. You connect with that person. And then you do it again and again and again. And then you go from, oh man, when I post, only 3 people see it, to, oh, when I post, 300,000 people have the opportunity of being able to see it. It increases the chance that you're going to get more engagement, more followers, more connections. And if you're posting relevant content, you're going to be able to build up fairly quickly. Last piece of advice that I would give is that I would say to try to make video content. LinkedIn, for the most part, prioritizes video content. They have for years. It performs really well. Now, sure, I'm good at it because, I was a battle rapper in a previous life. I used to post vlogs hyping up the battle before the battle happened. So I had experience with vlogging in front of, looking at a camera, talking, and trying to inspire people to act on something. I had done it for years and years and years. We're talking probably over 20 years at this point that I've been doing that. Since before YouTube, I was posting videos on the internet in some form or fashion. But you don't have to be an expert and it doesn't take long, for you to do it. You just have to kind of start. You have to start doing it. Don't worry about the quality of your video. Don't just start doing it and do it consistently. And you'd be surprised at how good you get quickly if you do it consistently. In my opinion, I think that really helps because it goes from just text to like someone really putting a face to the name. And they feel like they know you on a different level when they see video than when they see text. That's, do I think that it's for everyone? I think it kind of can be, particularly if you're in sales because you're already talking to people. You're already probably on camera for part of the day. So you might as well apply that on something like LinkedIn. Or if you wanted to do TikTok, YouTube, where this is probably end up, that works too. If you do all of these things, genuinely, you're going to have more followers than if you didn't, right? If not, you're going to have more important connections than if you didn't. I give you an example. Brandon Bornanson, who is, we'll try to have him on at some point as a guest. He's the founder of Seamless.ai. Company does, I think, over 100 million in ARR. It's a big company, very solid company. And Brandon's a cool guy. Brandon is, connected. If you look him up, he's done podcasts with Grant Cardone, Jordan Belfort. He's connected to Patrick Bet-David, Ed Milet. You see him out with him and everything like that. And it's like, man, like that's someone that I would like to be connected to. And I tried to connect with him in a couple of different ways. Funny enough, I bought Seamless as my lead enrichment tool. And I do like the tool. It works really well. I'm glad that I bought it, but I bought it with the design of trying to get like an in to maybe like get to know Brandon at some point between the content that I post and the fact that I'm actually a Seamless customer. But then I started to post more video content on LinkedIn, and Brandon was on LinkedIn. We happened to be connected. I don't remember how or why we were connected. But then Brandon would reach out to me. He was like, man, I really like the video on the content that you have right now. I like the way that you're editing and everything like that. What's your setup? I'd like to make a newsletter post about your setup. So I went from like saying like, man, this guy's pretty cool. He's connected with a bunch of people that I like. Like I really like Ed Milet. I really like a lot of the actionable advice on goal setting and everything that Patrick Bet-David posts. And, sure, you might not like some of their politics, but, in terms of just pure helping people improve and get better, I really like the stuff that they do. And then, looking at Brandon's content, I was like, man, his stuff is fire too. No wonder these people are hanging out with him, and it was very difficult for me to do that. And then he came to me because of the content that I created, So not only does it help you with networking in terms of active networking, reaching out to people, but it helps with passive networking. It helps people that are very influential people get you into rooms that you couldn't have gotten into previously by working at it. It genuinely works. And this isn't just me that I'm talking about. We could point to hundreds of people that are online, that are on LinkedIn, that are on TikTok, that are on YouTube, that created content, and it opened up doors for them that were slammed shut, locked, and deadbolted before they started to create content. Again, do I think that everybody that watches this is going to be like, man, I'm ready to go. I'm going to immediately run out there and start creating? No. But do I think that if you do and you do it consistently, it's only going to help your career and you may find that you like it and you enjoy it and that you're helping others? Yeah, I absolutely do. So I hope it does resonate with you. I hope that this leads to you becoming more successful, or at the very least, I hope it leads to you contributing and helping others. At the very least, if that's the only thing that you got out of it, then you're giving more to the game than you took. And that's a great way to look at life in general, is if you give more than you get, chances are you're going to be successful. Shout out Bob Berg, who is the author of The Go-Giver, who reached out to me on Instagram when I had bought his book and read it 15 years ago, and I had no clue that I would ever have a conversation with someone that made this incredible book. But started posting content. Here we are. Someone that I'm connected with, can hit him up whenever I want. It's amazing the doors that open up when you start to consistently create and work to help others. And that's it for this episode. God bless. And listen, if any of this resonated with you, obviously if you like this, if you're watching it on YouTube, leave a comment. That's really helpful. If you're finding this somewhere else, we post this really anywhere where you can find a podcast. Follow, because we make these once a week. You get these weekly, where we're working to help. I'd say leave a comment on YouTube if there's a particular thing that you want us to talk about on an episode. But if you're watching this or listening to this on Spotify or anywhere else, just connect with me on LinkedIn. I accept all LinkedIn connection requests. Troy Barter. There's only two of us. It's me in the U.S. and there's some guy that works at a bank in Australia. There's only two Troy Barters on Earth that you can find. I'm the one that's not in Australia. Connect with me and hit me up. Say, hey, could you talk about this? Here's something that I'm struggling with, or here's something that I think would be helpful if you covered it with your audience, and we'll absolutely, we'll work to, work that in and create a podcast about it. That's it. Catch you next week.